Good evening, folks. This is the DU Facebook crew. That kind of is a nice name to it. We're here. I apologize for being a little herky-jerky to begin with. I'm having some technical difficulties with one of our helpers for tonight. Regina, have you been able to make it in yet? Okay. I'll listen out in case you hear her come in. Okay, because we've got several questions lined up already on Facebook. Okay, so who we have? We have one Bobby, who is Bobby from Facebook, and we have AB Newsflash, who is Andrew, and we're trying a special thing here. We have Kathy, who is our newest sheriff on Facebook, and she's gonna start us out tonight with a segment, is the only way I know to put it, and she'll explain herself as we go.
Hey, Pat, what was Regina going to do for you?
She was going to help with the questions, bring them in from Facebook or the chat room, that sort of thing.
Okay. Listen, I will do that for you. So go ahead, and if you want me to bring them, from the Facebook group over to the chat room. Yeah.
Well, what I've got is a pinned post set up for Facebook, and then any that happens to come across in chat. So the person who's doing this is looking at both spots.
Okay. I'll open that up right now, and I will open up a private window to you, and I will do that for you.
Hey, Pat, I made it.
Oh, okay.
I guess I won't do that for you.
BGG's been superseded. I imagine later.
Phone so that I could get in on the call.
Well, there you go.
Okay, but you did make it, so we're working on all cylinders.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, and who y'all are hearing is Regina, who is GG 813. Is that correct, Regina?
Yes.
813. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'm number dyslexic.
Now I've got a big question. Are the questions coming in through the chat or through Facebook?
They're going to be coming in through both. So if you could look in both directions, and if not, then somebody else will grab whatever you have a deficiency in.
I can. And you asked them to put it under the pinned post, Dinar updates on the Facebook page?
No, what we're going to do is we're just going to take them from Facebook and ask, and we're also going to ask anything that comes in from the chat. So it's just a matter of looking in one and the other. So
gotcha. I just wanted to know on Facebook where to look. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So we should be on understandings there. If you do have any questions, though, holler out before we get too far. And Regina, what I'll do is I'll let you know when we'll bring the question in.
Okay.
Okay, that way you won't be confused. Okay, so what we want to do, though, is start off. We've got Kathy, Super Cat, on the chat room. Super Cat has a special segment to start off with, and we want to go ahead and let's get that rolling. So if you're ready, Kathy, then we're ready.
Okay, thank you, Pat, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I don't have an actual, pardon me?
Oh, good evening.
Oh, hi. I don't have an actual article to introduce to you tonight, but what I wanted to do instead was talk to you about several articles and videos that we've posted on Facebook recently and how the humanness of this investment ties into what we are seeing happening in Iraq in recent days. We've seen, as we have been watching events unfold in Mosul, the mass exodus of Iraqis fleeing their homes. We've all seen the pictures of the refugee camp and the devastation that war leaves behind. We've seen the car bombings and pictures of ancient buildings being destroyed and homes that are flattened to the ground. However, over the last few weeks, we've started to see the tide turning. People are starting to return to Iraq to open up restaurants. They're returning to open up markets. We saw the Muslims and Christians celebrating Christmas together just a month or so ago. Now they're wanting to rebuild their homes. They're coming back. They're wanting to stay in Iraq. There was even a video recently that showed families returning to parts of Mosul that still have no water, no food, no electricity, but they wanted to come home. We've seen videos of Iraqis vacationing in the snow atop Mount Karek. They're building a coliseum now in Suleimani, which is going to be much like the one in Rome, so they can hopefully attract some tourists there. Just this morning, I brought in another article about a Muslim family returning to the Yazidi town of Shingal. So now we have Kurds and Yazidis wanting to coexist together. Now, how cool is that? But the thing that excites me perhaps the most was the article that was brought in just a few days ago about the FIFA and the Minister of Youth Sports and wanting to reopen sports arenas. They're starting to think about the future of Iraq. They're starting to think about youth. When you look at these articles one-on-one, they don't seem like much more than a fluff piece maybe that tugs at your heart a little. But when you start to put them all together, along with the desalination project for agriculture, the fiber optic cables coming in for Wi-Fi and internet access, banking incentives for people to use banks again, opening up coliseums, vacation resorts, restaurants, markets, rebuilding homes and cities, and now they're bringing back arenas for sporting events. Wow, Iraq is telling their people that it's time to come home, and they're telling the world, man, we're open for business. Come on in.
Kathy, that was very good, and it sure does look like that, doesn't it? I mean,
it does, and it's so exciting.
It is. If you take the face of all the reports and everything we see, unless this is some rhetorical exercise, or some futile effort, this is all for the reason that they're holding this, right? This is
right
of the investment. Of course, I say the reason we're holding this, but it's much bigger than that, and I hope everybody gets that. But everybody's listening to this call because they hold it. So that's kind of why I went down that trail on that. But bigger picture stuff, long term for them, and that was a great piece, Kathy. I sure appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome, and it's so exciting to see when you look at you expand your brain out a little bit and look at everything. Not just the articles that you and Bobby and Hutch and Mr. White and all those people bring in, but you're looking at all these little things going on too, and it's starting to paint a picture. And it's a fabulous opportunity for you to see a part of history unfolding right in front of you.
And the observant will see movement in what you're talking about as opposed to what's the holdup.
Exactly.
Exactly. Hold up, many gears, and a lot of them are spinning. Some of them still need greasing, some need clutching in, some need clutching out, but many gears. So you can't say that they're sitting on their elbows, eating grapes, because there's a lot getting done, man. Bobby, which brings me to the question, when we're trying to put news together, and I gather this from Hutch's crew also, is it not mind-boggling to try to figure out what to delete from the list of things you want to bring?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. What used to take 15, 20 minutes now takes hours. And the ones that we have to leave out on a previous news time, a month or two ago, those would have been the top articles. Just the news is absolutely mind-boggling, whether it be from within Iraq or outside of Iraq.
Exactly. Andrew, you got any input?
Yeah, it's kind of fun but challenging to try to keep up with all the information that's coming out. I mean, just everything you're seeing.
You said
it's good. It's really good. I don't, like I said, I'm not seeing anything negative. Everything's working towards for Iraq to prosper.
Yeah, and you used a good challenge. Challenge is a good word. Okay, let's see. Regina, do you have a question you can bring us from either or? We'll start off with a question or two, and then we'll hit our news.
Well, I've got one from Matt Hall. He's kind of making a comment and then asking this. There will always be conflict and bad blood in Iraq. How they fight over is they are going to throw shoes and water bottles. Okay. What laws are needed before the World Bank, IMF, and UN release them and the CBI to change the rate, in y'all's opinion?
Well, Bobby, is this not true that we talk about this quite frequently? And there's just no, as BGG puts us, there's no actionable intel. It's hard to, sometimes it's just hard to speak to certain things, but you do your best. And Regina, if you'll repeat me that question, I won't get off track next time.
Pat, do you mind if I jump in here?
Please, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. With respect to that question in particular, that's a loaded question. There's a lot there, but I would say that on two sides of this equation. Sometime in the last, I don't recall exactly when it was, but sometime in the last 2 weeks, Robert, Alan, Steve, Day Trader, did a call where they listed the 8 laws they felt like were critical. And then a couple of those have already been taken care of, and a couple are on deck, so they're being taken care of right now. However, here's the other thing that I will tell you, which is, and this part I will preface with the caveat that this is in my humble opinion. This is my opinion only. We've listed, we've done calls as DU as a team, as a group. We've posted what those actual laws are. They're in the forum and in the chat logs on various calls. However, the flip side of this is, in my personal opinion, I believe that I think we are close enough that at any point the IMF, the United Nations, World Bank, and international allies of Iraq may well decide that at any point they're ready to go. I mean, we don't know. We kind of have an eye on a certain number of things that likely will have to happen or should happen. Those things are happening so fast at this point, by the way, that they may actually get them all done and we not even know it. For instance, they are functioning under the IBAN compliance protocols as of January 2nd, and they didn't even release the article about it until at least the 9th. The news that's blown up the internet was 7 days late. I mean, it was already done and over with. Smoke had cleared on the 3rd, and we didn't even hear about it until 7th, 8th, or 9th, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I would say that we've published that list. There's a couple of them just came out recently, the law of companies. I think I heard the guys kind of talking, the guys here, Pat, and everybody was talking amongst themselves before we kicked off the call, talking about the law of companies, and then, several others recently, and then several more on deck. We kind of had a short list that we talked about not very long ago, but long and the short of all that, and then what I want to leave everyone with the impression of is this: they may shortcut their own list. We make lists for them. We look at the things. We're looking at the news and the articles and ferreting out the information as very best we can. But I will tell you that, and to prove my point is this: if you look at the last IMF review, LOI, I'm going to publish our cookies synopsis of that 45-page document first thing in the morning. However, if you look at that, Iraq plainly says there are like I don't remember what it was. There's a certain number of points that they're supposed to be in compliance of. They got 3 of them right. They acknowledge they're off base on 3, but they're going to get them in the near future. I'm telling you, I think this could well happen with all the laws that, quote unquote, everyone thinks they need to get done. Same thing could easily happen, because the overall arching concern is this. For them to have a rate internationally, and that's absolutely what everyone here is here for, but for them to have a rate, they have to have international support and acceptance. It's got to happen. Ultimately, there has to be that underpinning of international, okay, we're going to take that, because you can have whatever rate you want, and if nobody's going to take it, guess what? You're like Saddam back in, what year was that, Pat? Like, when he chose not to follow the dollar down, he had 322, everybody else had him at 287. You can have whatever rate you want, but without that underpinning of international support, you don't have anything. Follow me on that?
Yeah, I'd like to add something on that, BGG.
Sure.
Like the central bank, when you heard about Shabibi was talking about stability. The central bank is not going to, give out all this money without stability, knowing that, it's not throwing the money away. With all the stability we're seeing with Iraq agreeing on their obligations and with stability that they were talking that we're seeing these, like today, we've seen the important law was passed today. I see that, with the House of Representatives, them passing laws, especially made important laws, that's a sign of stability right there, that they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing their job.
It's a sign of political stability, and it's a sign that their political apparatus is paying attention to what the international community wants from them, which is, that's the thing that they never had before. If you stop and think about it, 3 years ago, when Dingleberry, Maliki was in charge, they would go through the IMF reviews and just get spanked, and nobody would care. They would just keep on doing what they're doing. Well, now that tone and tenor is entirely different, and the whole trickle-down effect from top to the bottom, their legislature, their parliament is absolutely taking their cues from the executive side, and they are doing what they're supposed to do. You're absolutely right, Andrew. So that's fantastic news. Let me step back out of this. I was just answering one question. It's all yours, Pat.
And I appreciate that, BGG. And my thing is, it's hard for me to quantify on my own what specific laws. Some of the other guys are a little bit more honed on the finer points of some of those laws, so I don't want to.
I would have to go back and review myself, but I know that we just did that sometime in the last, week, 10 days, something like that. But my opinion that I wanted to interject there was that they may shortcut their own process. I mean, if I were betting, our offering opinion, and I'm offering opinion now, I'm kind of on that thin ice, is that it's not impossible that they're going to, we have a list for them, and they may not even get that list done. Not impossible.
Right.
It looks oddly suspicious to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they're pushing real hard, and we saw this in some reports that me and Bobby were looking at. They're pushing real hard for some of the stuff that's been stalled since Maliki's era.
Exactly. And, I was having a conversation not that long ago about that very, very concept, is that there are laws that they have been batting around their legal apparatus for decades that are just getting done now because they have the right political climate in place to move the country ahead. If you think about it, I mean, the IBAN and the SWIFT compliance and having a SWIFT code and all these things that they put in place recently, stop and think about this. where's Iraq been since 1995? I mean, what's happened from 1995 until now? Iraq has been getting bombed back into the Stone Ages since 95.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lived in this bubble. 95 is when the Internet took off. I mean, the Internet in general was invented. There was no such thing as online banking. In 1995, Saddam was using bagmen with suitcases filled with cash. That's how they got their transfers, sent around. And now, I mean, they've literally had to, they are being brought into the 21st century at warp speed. Iraq never, they didn't miss out on that. But if you stop and think about it, they've been in one conflict or another conflict. They're under sanctions or their currency worthless since they really don't even understand what the Internet's going to do for them yet. Seriously. If you stop and think about that, the Internet really took off in about 95. It was kind of used by labs and scientists in 92, 93, 94, but real life people didn't start using it until about 95, and we take all these things for granted, where we sit in front of a computer and our phone and banking. It's crazy. My dad's 72. He pays all his bills and does his banking on his phone. I hate it when he does that, but seriously. And Iraq, they don't even know what that tastes like, man.
Right. Honestly, some of us got when they were still using the abacus.
Right. They were still doing that. That's how they were.
Yeah.
They're still, and we're, and they're, I mean, it really needs to be exciting for us because we're talking about reintegration to international markets, international economies, international marketplace, international support, huge amounts of resource, which, by the way, I understand that doesn't have anything to do with currency value, blah, blah, blah. Great. But it does matter to the world, let me tell you. And you circle right back around to the fact that just recently, I mean, essentially, pretty much the way the central bank was laying out, first part of 2017, this thing's really taken off, and that's, IBAN, SWIFT, this banking conference coming up here, where they're really putting their people on point for what comes next. So anyway, sorry, I got long-winded there. All yours.
No, that was great. That was great. I mean, in fact, some of what you're talking about is some of the reports that we've got here. So, what we'll do is, Regina, if you've got any more questions and you want to throw them at me real quick.
Well, there's one that came up on the chat. It says, day trader mentioned an important law that needed to be addressed was commercial agency law. Has that been brought up in Parliament?
Yeah, I answered him in chat too, but my best answer to that was it may be on the list. They've got quite a few. They were supposed to have 50 contiguous laws when they came back from break after the holiday, over our Christmas, whatever they call it over there.
That one commercial agency law either was just today or yesterday, or it's coming up in the next couple of days. I don't remember.
See, that's what I'm saying. It might be stuck into.
I don't remember which one it was, but it was really quick. It's either done right now or it's coming right up. One of the two. I don't remember off the top of my head. I would have to go back and read some more. And I'm just.
Right. And honestly, it's coming so quick, it's hard to stay on top of it all.
Right. That one in particular, I'm positive. We were talking about it not that long ago, and it's either yesterday or today or shortly coming up. It's on the docket. One of the two. I don't remember which. So it's either just been done or it's coming right up. One of the two. I can tell you for sure. That I know.
Yeah. Maybe that answered SRW for us.
Pat, there's actually two of them that have been in the news as of late, which would be the Chambers of Commerce Act and the Commercial Agency law. those two, I'm looking at articles on them right now, but those two have come up as far as news type articles and the mentioning of them. But again, we won't know what's coming up until we see their agenda, which is usually 24 hours prior to the session, and that's about all we know as to what they will vote on.
And they'll meet Saturday, right?
Yeah. The next one would be Saturday or Sunday. For some reason, Sunday. Yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw held over until Saturday, but it could be Sunday. Yeah. Either way, this weekend, right? Sometime.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Actually, the one I was talking about was commercial agency law, and it's right in this window. I don't remember exactly what the date was, but it was either the last day or two, or it's coming right up the next day or two, one of the two. I don't remember what it was, but I do recall that particular, because it's the one that allows external international businesses to have Iraqi corporate holdings.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that's what it boils down to. And they've got to get that done, because you won't have international investment if they don't have both standing. They have to have three things. They have to have a way in, they have to have standing while they're in, and they have to have a way out. They have to have an exit door. If you don't give them those things, it won't happen. And that tidal wave that their own economists have talked about over and over and over, that never happens until they make those, in principle, until they make those three things happen. A door in, standing while they're there, and a door out.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more, and you guys might have went over this when you were going over the IBAN, but Doug asked, what is the IBAN for at a program rate? Can you explain why they'd be running it at 1180?
Not really. I mean, I couldn't explain why they're running it at 1180.
Well,
they've still got
the numbers are relevant. They've
still got criteria
international banking, IBAN, international bank account number. It's just a way for them to communicate with external banks, and it's not. I mean, forget what the number is. That's not the important thing. What the important thing is the important thing is that they're going to communicate with the external world, with the outside world, international acceptance, international support. And here's the thing. Once they fully integrate with world economies and world markets and world everything, you're not going to see that rate, because nobody's going to accept it. It's that's a artificially low, UN-imposed sanction rate, still, really, on some level. So, we're on the verge of it. So, anyway, does that help, Pat?
Yeah, I believe so, if it helped the questioner.
Well, the thing, they're mixing apples and oranges. What's the rate and what's the IBN for? IBN is the accounting protocols.
Well, we're hearing those stories about how the e-commerce is outstripping banking, so it's obvious that e-commerce is being used, and the bank has a new system whereby instead of going and getting, taking your dinar and going to a dealer where you swap it out for whatever currency you need to pay your remittance in, now you do this as a matter of course at the bank like we do here.
Exactly.
But it doesn't make a change. That's nothing to do with the change. That's just cutting out the fact that these people have to go and get their bills changed to go make a payment on something. They can go to the bank. Another reason they're trying to pull people, or another way they're trying to pull people into the bank is, come here, bypass the middleman, and you can make your payment with a dinar at the current rate. And we just do it like normal people do, but you just don't have a rate change. But it doesn't mean they still can't officiate that transaction the way we're talking about.
Well, Pat,
great point, by the way, Pat. Excellent.
I was going to ask, did it make sense that way?
That's an excellent peek at the consumer side of it. The whole, the big picture about how the international communities are going to look at that is exactly what we're waiting for. That's what we're looking for. We want to know what they're going to view that as.
I look at it as a supporting mechanism that pretty much needs to be in place if you're going to, quote, flip a switch and change your economy from what used to be a centralized type of economy to now a free market-ish type of situation. So in other words, you couldn't do that.
Exactly. Perfect. Exactly.
Integrate, yeah. So in other words, these are supporting mechanisms as much as they'll be the deal after the fact.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do, Regina, did you have any more? Or the chat room or anything?
Nope. I've looked at those and no other questions. Okay,
we're gonna go ahead and trudge along here. The first report was Bobby and Andrew this was a great one, right? The Central has $20 trillion to help the government cope with the financial crisis. By the way, helping set the deficit off by 75%. Let me see. I'm going to read a little bit. The reason, the central bank came out with this statement, their contribution to alleviate the repercussions of financial crisis in the country by 75%, confirming that they had submitted to the government $20 trillion Dinar to secure the financial budget requirements. Okay, and we were talking earlier today that if all the OPEC arrangements go through, and everything holds on what their anticipation of that's supposed to be, that's supposed to offset the deficit by 65%, bringing some between $14 and $17 billion into the coffers extra. That's based on them hoping for oil to. And I see a recent thing that somebody's looking at $60 or $62, but that don't mean to me that they're waiting on that for some significant purpose. Maybe that's them anticipating it to go there. You see what I'm saying? So the report was a little bit weird. But I don't want to get off this report with that one. This one was kind of long, and I do apologize for the long ones, but sometimes they're long and they're full of stuff. I mean, if you slow down and read them. Okay, so let's see. Iraq will receive between 15 and 18 billion from the World Bank and the IMF in the coming years. And my point about this is if the CBI sees enough what a lot called political stability in the GOI to loan them $20 trillion. Do you think that things are coming closer together like they should? I'm asking this question, Bobby.
Oh yeah. I think they've made.
If you're looking for signals, right?
Yeah. It seems like everything we get nowadays is a signal of
for instance, how many times do we remember them saying, they were the Iranian negotiator? No. Every time they tried to go to the CBI for money, right? No. Well, obviously, and Alliance said itself quite a few months ago in a speech that, they're ready. All they're waiting on is social/political stability. Yeah, and wow, to me this is a sleeper. It doesn't necessarily mean, they're going to use this and this is where the RV comes from. No, I don't necessarily say that. But what I'm saying is this shows the CBI and the GOI's cooperation. Am I wrong, BGG? BGG, are you here? Maybe he bounced out. Anybody else got anything? What do y'all think about the direction?
Go ahead. My bad.
No, that's fine. I was engaging you on this, trying to see if the direction I was going was, the take. If I'm giving opinions here and maybe, what I think and stuff like that. When you see a report like, $20 trillion you got to say that the CBI likes something that you're seeing in the GOI, right?
Right. Anytime.
Right.
CBI something, yes. That's correct.
Say again?
I said anytime the CBI likes something that they're seeing in the GOI, that is correct.
Right, and then I pointed out how many times have we seen the Iranian negotiator in there telling them no. It's nose, and now you've got wow. And if folks would read this, I don't want to put everybody to sleep, so I won't read it verbatim. But there's a lot of high points in here where Alak talks about how far they've come, and this here was at the Beirut conference. Let's see, Bobby, did you have anything on this?
Oh yeah. I mean, I great article. We see these responses coming out of the Beirut banking conference, and the people and the entities that were involved in this conference. It was just crazy. There were 350 reps from the Lebanon, Iraqi banking sector in different entities. Of the 5 sessions that we saw that were posted on Dinar updates, chat room forums, and Facebooks that were concluded today, gave us more financial news than we could have ever asked for. Iraq's been moving in the direction of the e-banking, e-dinar for some time now, and this just put them into overdrive. As these companies move into Iraq, we'll see even a faster pace. I liked how the article even talks about the steps that the CBI had taken as far as the anti-money laundering law, and great representation by the CBI at this conference.
Right, and the forward tweaking of the banking system, modern technical means, and the things they're doing now with some of the banks have the interest rates. Like I think the long-term interest rate right now is 11%, and you got people on Facebook going, hey, I need a bus ticket to Iraq, so open me up an account, but not realizing the bus. Right. I'm not going to go into all that, but anyway, Andrew, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, like you said, this is kind of like a sleeper article. I mean, it's got a lot and entail with the CBI helping out with the GOI and allowing things to get built, and then also with the Iraq and Lebanon banks, working together as one. That's going to help with a lot of the transparency and the banking. This is good stuff because they're also going to help with another loan out going to the small and medium enterprises to help with that private sector and get that private sector going.
Yeah, it's sort of capitalizing the private sector. I mean, that's how I see it. I see people going, why do they keep getting loans, and when are they going to hold them to the fire? Well, I mean, I think all this is capitalization. You got to start it somehow. And this is all the starts. We're seeing a lot of stuff that, if I'm going to give an opinion here, looks pretty impressive. Because I remember that. Go ahead.
In order to make money, you got to spend money.
That's true, and if you know that the loans you're getting back are going to be no problem to pay back with forward projection as best we can do, today looking ahead, then all these people, all these countries, the CBI moving closer to the GOI. You got now they're talking about Syria. I know they're both ending EA. Syria, working a trade relationship with them. Wasit province is trying to get a new gate between them and Iran opened and monitored, so that will start feeding the non-oil revenue. and I know we've kind of gone off this particular article a little ways, but wow, you get to point out too many things, and you can do that. So let's see, Article 2, Central Bank, we played a great role in transit crisis. There's high confidence between Iraq and Lebanon. This is some more of the meeting in Beirut. Correct, Bobby?
Yeah. Like I said, you could pull 20 to 30 articles in here on just this conference alone.
Oh yeah.
Just Alex's statement about in the coming days. I know some people saw that as in the coming days, like we would see it in the coming days over here. What I took from it was that that this is speaking of the future of Iraq and the CBI as they strive to be something that the country can be proud of.
We want to be literal. I'm just saying, we want to be literal. A few days. 3 days, 8 to 19, so that makes it to 20. You get where I'm going? I mean, and sometimes, like BGG says, they speak in prose, too. So, when, coming days could be a nondescript amount of time to include 90 days from now. You get me? This is not me projecting far. I'm just saying it's really nondescript, but it's saying, look out, here it comes. And those people who know that if you're told a storm is coming, so you go get your galoshes and an umbrella, are going to be ready. You get me? And then you're going to have the others that are looking like deer in the headlights.
Yeah. Well, all this work that's being done in the banking sector is gearing up for one thing, and that's supporting the three major sectors, the private, industrial, and agriculture sectors.
Right.
That's what all this stuff is being done for, because that's where the money's going to come from for Iraq. All of these will be kind of like the Big Bang Theory for Iraq.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. Andrew, do you have anything, sir, that you would like to add to this? This is Article 2, by the way.
Yeah, on this article, it talks that to restore confidence between him and the private banks. I mean, that's what we want to hear. And it says a lot coming from a lock, especially the words in the coming days that we're about to see a change within the banks. There's something, like you said, there's a storm brewing.
Yeah. I mean, Alok's like a dentist. You don't even want to hear him talk most of the time, right? But yeah, because, he's always poo-pooing something. He's like, it'll be 17 years before we, but, never mind. But it is good now to be hearing this conversation, this direction of everything. And it's so much. It's a frenetic thing. It's really hard to keep up in a day's time. That's why sometimes I know, for instance, they got a lot of laws, and I may know some of the specific ones, but, some of the more esoteric or arcane ones that you pull out of there, I may not. And they may only just be esoteric to me, but the thing is that, anyway, I'm starting to ramble, Bobby. You're supposed to kick me under the table when I do that. Okay, let's go.
This is my week to sit back and listen. Gotcha. I'm not going to talk much.
I hear you. Okay, moving. We did Article 2. Is that correct? Article 3? Yeah. Because I remember we skipped one last time. Okay, some headlines and excerpts from the Beirut. Wow, some more. You sure we didn't get this one? I know we were kind of heavy on what went on.
You're on track.
Okay, but we're still kind of heavy on what went on in Beirut, right? So as long as I'm not running this into something else. This one here is the optimistic improvement of the economic situation is likely to get $18 billion in loans. Okay, so this is looking forward to that. What was the number? 16 to 18 billion that they were looking to get. Correct?
Yeah,
Bobby.
I just took the headline and then the first paragraph. It's a long article, and we're really hitting this conference thing hard because of the news that came out of it. But this first paragraph talked about improved economic situations, electronic payment platforms, compliance, that two countries working closely together with compliance and international requirements / regulations relating to engagement in banks' globalized banking.
Compliance is the key here.
Yeah.
Compliance. Yeah.
The transparency and the automatic exchange of information. Again, some sponsors of this conference was a Trade Bank of Iraq and the United Bank for Investment. The attendees were who's of the Middle East and the investment sector, and a majority of the top-notch people at the CBI, including the governor.
Yeah. I mean, and there was a list that'll fall off the page.
I kind of delved further into this. I mean, you could spend all day looking at the sponsor and the attendees of this conference, and it would just, I mean, it's crazy. But if you look at the United Bank for Investment, just some of the stuff they deal with as far as foreign transfers via SWIFT. We've all talked about SWIFT in the past and what that means. The remittances through RTGS in Baghdad and the provinces, issuing letters of credit. I mean, all these companies that we talk about deal with exactly what the CBI is looking for and what the country of Iraq needs in order to enter the international market and the platform kind of things. Like I said, you can take each company, each sponsor of this, and each attendee of this, and do some research on them and see exactly what they stand for. These guys mediate buying and selling of foreign currencies. They open up letters of guarantees in dinars and dollars. They open up credits in foreign remittances. They buy and sell stocks. They accept fixed deposits, savings accounts. It's just crazy what this.
So this is all the stuff big boy banks do, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's because we just had a report too, although we didn't. It may be in here about the private banking. Yeah, I think it's Article 4. No, bear with me because now I'm jumping around. Yeah, they're working with somebody now to do the ongoing schooling or teaching of the employees. Because remember.
That's going to come from another sponsor of the conference, KPMG.
There you go. That's what I'm trying to grab at. Because at one time, man, you had 20 bank services up against 200-300 that the rest of the world's banks have. So some of this we think, wow, all this, what are they doing going to these classes all the time? Well, they're learning about all the services that they haven't had before, right? All these bank things, all the mechanisms they're using to try to get people's attention to the bank. Bring your chunky money in here, and let's put it in here. And oh, by the way, look at this interest rate we're going to offer you. Whether it's starter rate or whatever, it's irrelevant at the moment because the point is to get people to change the culture to a pro-banking society. And that's coming by way of eventually everybody's going to be getting paid on a plastic card. That may be still a ways off where it's blanket implemented, that kind of thing, but that is coming. And
that's true. And the smart card, the application of the smart card and the use of the smart card was actually in one of the sessions, and I think it was in session 4, I believe. I'm not quite sure. There's 5 sessions, but the smart card was included in the agenda of this conference. I personally think what you're seeing is that you're seeing the Iraqi part trying to educate their citizens on the banking aspects, and then you've got all this state-of-the-art type stuff coming into the banks. So they're all going to coincide with one for better services, international transactions, in-country transactions, and everything else. They're all going to blend into one. I think they're working with these outside entities that are coming in and making the banking system state of the art as far as the electronic aspect of it is concerned, the professionalism aspect of it is concerned on how to deal with these systems, and they're public. So I think they're all coming together as one. We just have to be patient and let them do what they do and let them come out of these conferences. There's been one or two memorandums of understanding, that already came out of this conference itself, between the banking sectors and stuff. So, everything's great. We just have to let them come together and, whether it be the education of the employees or the education of the citizens, both are going to come together at some point.
Both, but what you see is a little bit of a curve on the pro side of them already getting a handle on how e-commerce works, which is a good thing. We plan on being a very apt society, used to using debit cards and smart cards and the whatnot. And so that part of it, now what they're trying to do with these ongoing banking forums and things that some of these companies that signed on during this conference is also, for instance, I was just going to pull this out of the air. Several banks were held up from being able to be officially christened, whatever you want to call it, going live with other banks for simple reasons as not having enough security cameras watching over the tellers, and how hard is that to fix? That's maybe an over the weekend kind of a thing to fix, especially if you're innovative, if you become in line with those things that are going to, the company can drop a couple bucks to get some cameras put in if it's going to benefit the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? So that can't be a very long, drawn-out thing. Okay, let me see. Okay, Andrew, please. I don't want to scoot over you. Is there anything that you've got to say so far to what we've talked about on this article?
On Article 3, this is a good article. It's talking about the Beirut Banking Conference. This is actually, kickstarting these monetary reforms and helping the banks out. But I just want to kind of highlight a few of these words that's on this article, that the word optimism that the central bank is giving us that feels about the economic situation of their country. That's big words right there from the bank. And it talks about, with the Lebanese banks stressing the importance of the cooperation between the two countries and compliance with international requirements. International requirements is what we're looking for, is what we're wanting to see, and we're seeing it right now. So, this is a big conference, and this is going to be a big boost for what we need to happen to move Iraq forward to the 22nd century, whatever we're in, 21st.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Kathy, you've been quiet. Do you have anything that you'd like to inject here?
No, I'm waiting for the next article.
There you go. Okay, I can do that. So with all haste, we're going to move to that one. This was the Association of Private Banks signed a memorandum of understanding with the firm KPMG for the exchange of banking experience. I think this is what I was just talking about, wasn't it? Except I jumped ahead one.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so this is Kathy. What have you got to say about this one? Let's give the people a little bit what this one's about. They signed.
No, we're moving on to Article 5 now. We've already discussed this one.
Okay, so we did.
Yeah, but I think the KPMG thing needs a little bit more of understanding. There was a statement from KPMG that banks need to fast track digital integration throughout their organization. The digital scene has to become the foundation for the businesses. They talk about and then they talk about the need for speed is more important than ever before as far as the electronic aspect of it. The importance of this will come in the training of employees. There's been some reports that have stated that over 500 to 600 employees starting the end of last year into this year will be trained in all of this. So if we take the above statement by KPMG Banking Services, we not only know that there is still a professionalism in the banking sector, but a highly educated one as well. Again, this is all a precursor to the international scene. That's the way I looked at it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. I mean, at KPMG, like you said, it's helping Iraq with a lot of things because they do a lot of things with the countries and the transparency and audit and just it's a big step for Iraq with KPMG being involved.
Yeah, big time.
Gotcha. Kathy, is this the one you wanted to speak with, or is it the next one?
Article 5, yeah.
5, okay. And what we're trying to do, fellas, is we're already at the 1 hour mark, so we're trying to expedite as best we can. Complete loan guarantee agreement between Iraq and America next week. This is the completion of the loan guarantee. They had started part of it. Okay, Kathy, give us your take on that.
Well, I was wanting Bobby to go over what you said is all about before we get into my part.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know what, Pat and Kathy and Andrew, we covered USAID. I think it was most probably the latter part of November, first part of December. Anyway, this is when USAID was first coming into play on this certain thing. And then now we see it come true. USAID is the U.S. Agency for International Cooperation and Aid. They promote economic prosperity. They strengthen democracy. They advance agriculture and food security. They further education. They help societies recover from conflict. That's just a few of them. All these monies will go to further Iraq's infrastructure and promote economic sustainability. I think Kathy, on her first article, will see where all these monies go as far as be displaced and stuff like that. So I'll let Kathy take it from there.
Yeah, that's right, Bobby. It ties in real well with what I was saying earlier. Iraq's busy rebuilding. They want their people to come back home, and these loans are going to help them do that. But economic prosperity, helping put people back to work, getting factories going again, and being able to afford to buy things for their families, simple things that they haven't been able to buy before. And then with the agriculture and food, the desalination projects for irrigation, giving the Iraqis the power to feed themselves. You can give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, you can feed him for the rest of his life. And then we have the education, which is focusing on the children. And you can't have a civilization anywhere without children. They're our future, and Iraq is starting to build on that now. And it's all leading all these. If these funds are used wisely by Iraq, they can't help but succeed.
Yeah, very good point. And that's a good point that she brings up, that if these funds are used wisely, that's where you'll start seeing all the transparency, the audit that the IMF is requiring through their SDA, the audit and the transparency. There will be audits throughout all the ministries. This money is not just going to be handed over to them. If you heard Rex Tillerson in his Senate hearing, he actually brought up Iraq and how when they got money that there were so many branches where it went they couldn't keep track of it. What they're being asked to do now is, and it's not just Iraq. He was speaking about Cuba and everything else. But what he's asking these countries to do is that there will be obligations as far as aid from now on. He's asking them to streamline electronically their transactions and what they do with their money, so there would be a better tracking of this money and who's spending it, how they're spending it, stuff like that. I was watching that Senate hearing yesterday, and I was just amazed at what he was talking about and how it related to what's actually going on now. There will be transparency and audits on this money, and all this money will go to promote, like Kathy said, prosperity for the Iraqi people.
Yeah. Andrew, you got anything?
Well, it's good to see that, it's a loan and not just giving them money. So a loan is going to be paid back one way or another. So this tells you right there that America, the U.S. is going to be involved in Iraq for a while. We're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's probably a good point right there. We're not planning on leaving. Our body had some high hopes for Trump, after having talked with him a little bit. So, I feel good. Abadi is what I'm talking about now. He's got one of the highest, on the ground poll numbers of any prime minister they've had in years. So his people are really, putting a lot of hopes on him pulling through. But, that's taking the cooperation of Parliament, which has sworn their cooperation. Wow, gee whiz, if you're looking for good news, golly, all they got to do is open my mouth, really. The problem is not getting so far on how many there are, because you could just go crazy. Okay, let's see. We're on number 6. Industry announces the issuance of 50 decisions for domestic product. Well, not a lot of explanation for that necessary, I don't guess. This is looking out for the Iraq industry. This is from the Ministry of Industry and Minerals. Let's see, this is from the Secretary of the Council of Ministers, from the COM, protect the domestic producer with 50 by harmful business practices. Okay, so, and we talked about the dumping of rotten rice, and tomatoes and all this stuff. So this is, some of this would affect the dumping issues, Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, no. It's simple. It protects their product, which speaks to the private sector as well. Private sector, ag sector, industrial sector, you name it. It all speaks to it. If you look at that law, it's not only an internal law. These ministries are going to have to go to their counterparts in other countries and say, look, you know what? We're not going to be a dumping ground anymore. We've got this law of 2000. It's a very self-explanatory law. I've got it if anybody wants to, look it up or anything. But it just goes to the fact of, Iraq's not going to be a dump anymore. They're going to promote their own product, in and out of country. And, they're, as far as the dumping of fruits, products, bad rice, whatever, Iraq's going to have an agricultural sector that is going to be very hard to equal over there by any other country, I think.
Sure.
So, this law, this law of 2010 is very specific. It's very direct. It talks about, like I said, the ministries of Iraq going to other countries and laying it on the line that this isn't going to happen anymore at all. And it's good to see this come up. because it all goes back to protecting your three major sectors: your private, your industrial, and your agricultural sectors. So yeah, I mean there are leaps and bounds on this thing. We just have to sit back and let them do what they do and watch for the results.
Right. A lot of watching, because there's a lot of stuff going on. That's why it's ditzy when somebody says what's the holdup, because their expectations is what's creating that problem for them.
Pat, you know what? That's a good point, because there are so many events taking place in Iraq. There are tons of events taking place in Iraq that are all leading to what we talked about, the budget. This budget is private, industrial, and ag sector heavy. Everything is coming to a point to where they're doing everything they need to do and should do to promote these three sectors and promote it and protect it, kind of a thing. So, I mean, this news we're 12 days into January, and look what we've seen so far. Everybody. They talked about the first part of 2017. Like I said, we're 12 days into it. And just look at the news that's coming out and the news that's going to come up. There's a lot of stuff in the works for the coming days and the next week, whether it be Davos or other conferences, parliament sessions coming up.
Right. Yeah. Well, in your opinion, isn't it the expectation pretty high? And I mean, what we're seeing is kind of an exponential speeding up of all the little rankings. Like we thought it was moving quick last month or even 2 months ago, but this month, like you said, if you were into the 12th, and I feel like I've done a month's worth of work already. Lot of stuff, and especially if you're trying to retain and get your head around every nuance. It can be overwhelming, for sure. So I apologize
and Pat, you know what? That's another good point. We talked at the end of 2016 about this budget. Let's see the implementation and the activation of this budget. We haven't seen that yet. It's there was an article in late December that it would be activated, implemented, or during the next month, which means January.
Yeah.
And I think there's some things that we forget about, and we see all this great news coming out of this banking conference, very good stuff. But then we also have to think back about what we're looking for here. At the end of 2016, it was budget. First they came out with the SDA review, good stuff, and right after that they came out with the budget. They passed it. They passed the budget. They said that it would implementation activation during the month of January or during the next month. Well, we're still there. We have yet to see this budget come true. We harped on the private sector, industrial and ag sector driven budget. Let's let them release this budget and sit back and watch and see what happens. We've always said, they have to support these three sectors in order for this budget to work. And that's what they're doing. And in this banking conference, there was an article that passed, but they didn't talk about the private sector. We just have to be patient and let them implement this budget, this 2017 budget, and let's see what it does. Once they start putting all these funds, some have already been released by the Council of Ministers, but let's let this budget run its course and let all these other activities that they're doing now come in and support that. And then let's see what happens. I mean, we're 12 days into January.
Yeah,
so.
and we have been head spinning since the first.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been crazy.
Second, third, it really started rolling around, but more so when they came back, of course, from Parliament, and it's just wide open. So soon, I believe soon enough we'll know whether it was an exercise in rhetoric or not.
Yeah, just like the Parliament session, the last paragraph of the article is about the Parliament session. About now they're talking about voting on Basra being the economic capital of Iraq. I mean, how cool was that to see in a Parliament session? They passed a good law that's needed for them, to keep an eye on the judiciary. That law has all kinds of facets to it. The first so-called session of Parliament was more of a formality type thing, and then they met today, and boom, they voted a law in. We'll see what their agenda is, usually 24 hours in advance of their session, and that's what we'll go by. We can't go by anything else but their agenda. I've never seen them put an agenda forward and then not change that agenda unless, there were the Karada bombing that took precedent over some hearings that they had to get to right away. Whether it be the interrogation of ministers and stuff like that, that's kind of calmed down a little bit right now. It's still in the works, but it's kind of calmed down a little bit. And as Parliament develops this year, we've only had really one true session, and that was today. The first session was a formality thing. They got a couple things done, that was it. So, let's sit back and see what the next session brings to us, and we go from there, kind of a thing.
Really good, yeah. The last one, and if Regina's got any questions, then be ready to bring.
I got something to add. I got something to add on that 6th article about protecting the domestic producer. You guys, pretty much took the words out of my mouth when it comes to the short term. But you got to look at it as an Iraqi. The Iraqis are looking at this as the long term. Protecting their product, what they make. You protect that product. You don't get no junk stuff in, like you said, bad rice, bad, produce, anything that's not good that I wouldn't want, that they probably wouldn't want. You're not going to turn people around by giving them, junk stuff. You got to give them good stuff, give them something, like I said, give them something to live for. They want to work, buy nice things. Well, you got to give them nice things. Well, like I said, with this being, I'm looking at it as the long run with helping the domestic product, because like you said, the agriculture business, it was back in the day, they were one of the biggest agricultural exporters. So with this protecting the local product, this is going to help with their export in the long run, where
hey guys,
they can.
Let me give you some real world both experience and something you can taste. Iraq has had a problem. They just got, I think, there was some article about Coke being a new brand that they were just able to get just now. Here's what this law essentially does. It replaces all the janky, nasty, crummy brands that they. Oh, I know what it was. I do recall what it was. I was reading an article in the last, and this is not just about, but this particular article was kind of about the ISIS-controlled territories. They haven't had any Coke products able to sell to people until just now in ISIS territories. Now, that's not talking about all of Iraq. All of Iraq is a little bit different scenario, but it is kind of that same scenario, and it'll kind of illustrate exactly what we're talking about. We talk about a fairly nebulous concept, which is, they got some bad brands and they're trying to protect themselves. And let me explain to you how this works. In these ISIS territories, while ISIS has been in charge, they can't have any Coke. They have all kinds of restrictions. And to be honest with you, I heard this they can now play poker and they can now smoke a cigarette. And I don't do either of those things. But I'm telling you what, if I was sitting there with them, I would light one up and I would ask for that guy to throw me down a full house or whatever. I don't even play that game. You know, just because they're gone, I would want in on that game. You know, a little celebration. But having traveled to the Middle East on missions trips and other things, I would tell you that imagine in your mind the jankiest, nastiest Syrian brand of ugliest Coke you can imagine. It don't even taste like Coke. It's like, imagine the junk that you get out of the Dollar General store with the little white label, and that stuff makes the Syrian stuff look like 59 Chablis or something. I mean, it's, you know, the stuff that they haven't been put up with as and masquerading around as Coke is terrible. So, you know, this whole, you know, we look at this whole law of whatevers, you know, of protections as you know, we're not realizing just how important that is to the daily life of Iraqis. Dude, I'm telling you, it changes. Think about this. How desperate does the situation have to be for them to actually make a law about the Coke? You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's bad. You know, I mean, we take so many things for granted. We go, I mean, our big argument here in the States is, do you want Coke or Pepsi? You know, my dad, he loves Pepsi products. He won't even drink Coke. I mean, think about that for a second. And they're drinking stuff that tastes like dish soap. So, and, you know, and that's why they had to have, you know, they had to come out with a law that says we're not going to bring all that Syrian junk in here. Because it's, you know, anyway. I mean, my point is, we're just not looking at these things in context, the way that we need to look at them. When your Coke distribution is so terrible, when you can't get a Pepsi product into the country, you decide you have to make a parliamentary law. It's bad. So, and essentially, what they've done is they're fixing that problem for the average Iraqi. And that's, you know, and that's good news. Along with all the financial stuff, you know, they're moving forward very, very fast. That
right.
kind of
What I'm going to point out,
give you a little different perspective on what they're actually looking at day to day.
Well, and that's a good point because, for instance, one of the reports that I got of a back product was not something that you would think of as a perishable, rice and those things. They could, you know, potentially be turned rotten on the way there, kind of accident, oops, you know, we should have picked it a day ahead. But what I was seeing was baby formula, boxed as baby formula, but it had, the only way I know to describe it was plaster of Paris powder in it. Now,
I was almost ready to say it could have arsenic or it could have something toxic to babies. I'm telling you, the distribution chains over there are so bad, it have been so bad, that you know, they've had to take legal action. That's what it boils down to. It's so yucky.
Yeah, it's not just as simple as a rotten tomato or rice that stayed out in the sun too long. Some of this is done maliciously.
Well, listen, dude, I'm telling you, I've literally been there, and I can tell you firsthand, some of the stuff they pass off as food is a joke. I mean, I passed on it. I ate 2 or 3 bites, and I pushed the plate away, and I said, you know, I don't mind being hungry for a little while, man. It's all good. I mean, it was nasty. Now, some stuff was incredible, like back when I ate sugar. The, you know, when you do tea with cream and the little big huge hunks of brown sugar, whew, if I were eating sugar today, that is it. But goat, you know, I've heard people talk about smoked goat or goat that they fixed or goat's really good. I've never met a goat that I like. I mean, forget that stuff. The more you chew, that stuff gets bigger. It's like expanding bubble gum. Think about bubble gum. You put it in your mouth and keep chewing. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon, you got to spit it out. It's too big.
And your jaws just hurt after that.
And the Coke that I'm talking about, going back to the Coke product, the reason that they're having to pass laws about this stuff that's so terrible is because it's freaking terrible. It's Syrian product. And think about what they said in the article. It's janky Syrian product. Anybody remember what Syria's gone through in the last 2 years? And then think about the nastiest product that they can export. They might as well come in a garbage truck while they're at it. I mean, Syria, Aleppo, Assad, the whole world's on fire. Junk product.
Yeah.
That's exactly why they got it, and in that northern Iraq area where ISIS has had control, they can't get product in from anywhere. There's no Coke, there's no Pepsi, ain't even any Mountain Dew. It's some, something that looks like pop.
You probably wouldn't hazard a KFC while you were there.
I wouldn't do it here, man. I would not do it. I'd just pass. That's one of those, it is better than goat. But that's a conversation.
Okay. Y'all hold on just for a second. Bear with me. Okay. You got me, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. We lost Kathy for a second, so I had to go grab her. She was sinking. I had to reach down and go her. Okay, the last one we got here is Iraq approves revival of nuke program for peaceful purposes. Ooh, have mercy. Yeah, they're talking about nuclear program for peaceful purposes. It was obviously signed on January 11th, along with, I guess the budget was signed that day too, wasn't it, Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay, and so full consistence with the principles of IAE. Remember we discussed that IAE would have to be happy with this, but with their push for transparency in all aspects of their new approach to their country, this should not be a problem. You see what I'm saying? They know, wow, everybody's looking over our shoulder, but for whatever you think of atomic energy, this might be one way. This is a way. May not be the best way, but it's a way. And just to be in that position to be able to do that again, wow, people are. It seems like the world is giving them a chance. Maybe, like we know y'all did some bad stuff in the past, but we'll let bygones be bygones. But I mean, they're doing things that they're not. You know what I'm saying? In other words, they're doing things to prove that. Also, they don't just have good intention. They're following through. That's what all this news that we're watching is about: is the follow through with the things we're seeing, and like Cookie points out, the LOI. Just hold it on one side, watch the news, and just check mark off as you go. Or the SBA. All these things is if anybody is not excited, their expectations are too high. I don't know what to tell you. Andrew?
That was exactly what I was just going to say, Pat. If you can look at all of this and not see how much progress they're making, then what can we say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really where it stands. Andrew, you got anything to add?
No, everything looks good. Just everything that comes out, past week actually. I mean, a lot of things are moving. We're in a good spot. I like what Iraq is doing, and they're moving forward with things.
and in a fast pace, exponentially compared to just even a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I think, just me, if I'm giving opinions here, I think once you get a couple of the ministers seated, that'll move even faster. But that's just my take, because part of Alok's thing was he wanted stability, political/social stability, and they were ready. And it looks like with this new loan, the $20 trillion and everything, and all this, what we're seeing, MOUs and everything of going on at the conference, right, in Beirut. Yeah, just every day is keep up. You don't blink, because you will be lost.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you can pick up an any point, but if you're trying to follow scenarios here, you're going to be lost if you're blinking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of information coming out every day. Every day.
It is. Because, and I would urge everyone to go to the forums, and those on Facebook know what it's like. Some of us call it, some people call us posting freaks because, at 2:00 in the morning they're getting ding, ding, ding. All I can say is turn your phone off. Turn your phone off. Yeah.
The articles coming into Facebook have just been phenomenal.
They have. It's just been absolutely thrilling to watch it, because if you're in this, with hope and expectation, as long as your expectation is realistic, you'll be tickled pink at what you see going on. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. Again, that boils down to expectations. As long as they're in reality, and that's what we're here for, to bounce reality off each other, right? To hone away from, the nut jobbery, right? Okay. With this, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, because we went longer tonight than we normally do, and BGG, I apologize for that. We had an extra couple of things tonight that we don't normally have. We started out with Kathy's piece, and that was great. And we might try to inject something like that, on a regular basis, which I'm thinking about myself. But okay, everybody, we appreciate you putting up with us. We're going to go ahead, and I'm going to reach out to BGG and make sure he's there so that we can hang the call up.
Everybody, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you, guys. I think of all our chat copiers, our mods, our news researchers, the people that post at DU every day, people that the tech people, the sport people, the people that keep the trains on time behind the scenes. I want to make sure that I thank all of the news research teams, the people that do calls, everybody on the periphery. I had somebody ask me not long ago, how many people does it take to make DU run every day? And I said, I do not know, but it takes every single one of them doing their job every day. It's just an amazing team. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody who tuned in, because we couldn't do it without you. Stay tuned to Dinar Updates, and we'll continue to bring you more Dinar news, Dinar info, and Dinar commentary as we're able. Have a great night, folks.